Absolutely. I feel like it's close to the meaning of life. When I hold a circle, it's often the first question, or one of the first questions I ask people. And I say, you've got 5 minutes, 10 minutes to answer. And the relief, like people's body goes, oh, gosh, no one's asked me that in a really long time. And so to do it for other people is beautiful, but to do it for myself, can I give that same devotion and that same space and that same kind of listening and care, especially these wild times that we're in.
Welcome to Wild Flow, the podcast with me, your host, Charlotte Pointeau. I'm a wild feminine cycle coach here for the awakened woman who is ready to reclaim her body, menstrual cycle and feminine power, and to live, love and lead in flow with nature's wisdom. In this podcast, I'll share how you can live in sync with your menstrual cycle and life seasons, heal your relationship with your womb and rites of passages, and embody your wild feminine as a multi-passionate woman in life, mothering and business. It's your time to flourish as a cyclical being in this modern world. Are you ready? Let's flow. In this episode, I sat down for a truly delicious, heartwarming, soul-nourishing conversation with my friend Clare Foale. Clare is a space holder. We met whilst learning how to hold sacred circles 3 years ago now, and have remained connected ever since we sat next to each other for 3 incredible, life-changing days. In this conversation, Clare and I spoke about what cycle awareness means to both of us, how we can use incredibly simple, reflective questions to support us through the more challenging as well as the more expansive, lighter and more enjoyable moments of our menstrual cycles and daily life as women, mothers and space holders. Why Clare does not like the term self-care, and what her own personal practice is that she finds infinitely more nourishing instead. Clare looks back at the last decade of her life, from turning 30 to turning 40, and shares the love notes of wisdom that she now shares with her younger self and with all of us. And Clare offers us a card reading from her new deck called Spacious that she has just created and birthed and is releasing. Her reading allows us to hold space for ourselves through the next 4 phases of our menstrual cycle. I'd love to introduce you to Clare by sharing her words. She says, "When I turned 30, I was a new mum struggling with postnatal depression, which did not yet have a name. I was a personal assistant on maternity leave. I was finding life overwhelming and was grappling with some big questions like who am I and what do I like, which I could not find words for. They just felt really uncomfortable in my body and mind. I had really great hair though. It felt like one thing I could control. As I turned 40, I'm a writer, an artist, a teacher, a space holder, a tapping practitioner, a questioner, and an ocean lover. Clare is also a First Moon Circle Facilitator and creator of her brand new oracle cards, Spacious, which we explore together today. Clare is mum to 3 exquisite humans, wife to a brave man, a daughter and sister and friend to wonderful folks. She has just shaved off her hair. Following her curiosity takes her to many places, she says. Her work, whether holding space one-to-one for people, holding circles, teaching tapping, otherwise known as EFT, keeps bringing her back to the question, who am I? And she leans in and listens to the answers and explores what is present in curious conversation. I can't wait for you to listen to this beautiful conversation today. Welcome, Clare Foale, to Wild Flow. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to have you
Thank you,
guest
Charlotte.
today. So exciting.
It's beautiful to be here with you.
Thank you. Okay, I just want to invite you to drop into your body and into yourself just before we get started with our beautiful conversation that I'm so looking forward to having with a cycle check-in, if that feels good to you. Okay.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Okay. So first of all, would you mind sharing with us whereabouts, if you have a menstrual cycle, where you are in your cycle right now, whether you know which day you're on or just very loosely, roughly whereabouts in your cycle you are?
Yeah, so I'm day 28, 29, and I can feel myself moving into perimenopause or in perimenopause. And so my cycle is lengthening. And so it's interesting to not be like, oh, 28, that's I will be bleeding any day, or even, oh, that's definitely kind of an autumn season. It's getting less defined as I go. But I think that makes me even more grateful for tracking it, to just be able to feel a rhythm to it rather than being like, oh, this is all over the shop. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah, I'm currently on day 21 and I haven't ovulated and don't know when I will. Just having really long cycles still, and they're quite irregular. So yeah, I really resonate with what you're saying, really relate to that about it not being the kind of stock standard, the template textbook, if you like, 28-day cycle, and also not being perhaps in the season that you anticipate being in, and being with that.
Yes, absolutely. Being more present to what is there rather than the expectation, which I think is a kind of whole metaphor for life, right?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. So I'd love to ask you, as part of your check-in, how you're feeling in your 4 bodies. So if you just would like to share with us, like a couple of words, a word, how you're feeling physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, how it feels for you to be on this day in your cycle.
Yeah. I'm feeling quite heavy and quite tired. And yeah, I think that is to do with my cycle. I'm here in Sydney, on Margle country, and so when we're recording this, we're in our 5th week of lockdown. So I think that plays into that as well. But there's also that feeling, when you kind of surrender into a chair, you get kind of heavy in the chair. I feel a little like that in myself as well. So there's kind of a heaviness, but also just a letting it all go-ness, which is, an interesting, not altogether uncomfortable feeling, I would say.
Oh, thank you so much. And yeah, just really holding you in that feeling of that heaviness and seeing you and sending you love. Yeah. Thank you.
My love. And I love as well, knowing that you and that we can have this conversation in the midst of that I was sharing with you before, that this conversation has been such a something I've been looking forward to so much today, but also knowing that all the parts are welcome, and so that I don't have to come feeling fabulous or shiny or midsummer, that I can come in a very kind of heavy, murky, but also that I'm fully present with that as well.
Yeah. Thank you for role modeling that as well, how we can do that. I think it's something that is just so important for all of us to increase our capacity to sit with and to feel that we can welcome all parts of ourselves. We're so used to putting on a brave face and a happy face. And I was even thinking about it the other day, I don't know if this is something that you would relate to, but the idea of a telephone voice. I was remembering being a child and my mum would pick up the phone and have a telephone voice, and I think so many people do, and it's we're just always presenting our best self.
Totally.
And I love that for me, a lot of it has been through cycle awareness of just noticing and observing and, not necessarily needing to understand why, although that can be helpful in some cases, but just seeing what's there and sitting with it and working with it. And something that I know that you really love to ask, and so do I. It's one of my favorite little rituals, is to ask, how am I? And then from that place, so what do I need? Yeah. Tell us about how you work with that.
Absolutely. I think I feel like it's close to the meaning of life, to ask, how am I? When I hold a circle, it's often the first question, or one of the first questions I ask people. I say, you've got 5 minutes, 10 minutes to answer. And the relief, like people's body goes, oh, gosh, no one's asked me that in a really long time. And as someone else starts speaking, we kind of have that, I'm pretty fine, I'm a bit busy. And then over a few minutes, this is there and this is there. And so to do it for other people is beautiful, but to do it for myself, I think, can I give that same devotion and that same space and that same kind of listening and care, especially these wild times that we're in. We can just, it's so easy to be fine and busy and tired. They're so often the answers that are first there for me. And then to just listen a little longer and what's there, and to tend to those pieces, and to not push them away, to not need them to go, but to actually draw them in. It's one of my I love that visual of, when you pick up your kids and bring them to your chest, and just like doing the same for myself. Like, I'm feeling really sad, I'm feeling really scared, and just being like, come here, sweetheart. Let me just pull that in and listen to that. And then some of the crunchier ones as well, like feeling really resentful, I'm feeling really angry, I'm feeling really scared. Just like, resentment, my darling, come here. Come and sit with me on the couch. Like, let's have a chat. Last week I was feeling really scared about things. And so I was like, come on, Fia, let's get a cuppa. And just like what came out, I was just kind of journaling, and someone watching may have been like, what is this? You're having a conversation with your emotion, but the wisdom that's there, and not to push it away, but to bring in, that is such a simple practice, but so powerful. And I just have this deep sense. One of our shared teachers, Mitley, I think, was the first person who said to me, like, if we're talking about diversity and inclusivity out in the world, can we do that for ourselves internally? Like, can all the parts of me be welcome, and how can I keep including those? So I think of that a lot as well.
Wow, I just felt such a rush of tears come to my eyes when you talked about pulling yourself in and holding yourself, really tenderly, like you would a child. And, I think that's just so powerful. It reminded me of like self-mothering, our parenting ourselves, mothering ourselves. And, when, especially in lockdown, you can't see your physical family or the people who you might go to for, that kind of support outwards. How beautiful to give yourself that without needing anybody else.
Yeah.
Being able to do that and taking that self-responsibility for supporting yourself through all of the emotions and the feelings, the icky, as much as the, the joy or the light feelings as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you, I love. Yeah. And I feel that, like you said, that in in lockdown, but you know, there's so much happening in the world at the moment that can feel just so big, and rather than projecting it outwards like everyone else is wrong, just to be like, can I tend to myself first? Like, what am I needing? What's feeling wrong within me? What am I judging within myself? And I often talk, like, just use the analogy, you know, a beach ball, an inflated beach ball, and you're pushing it under the water, pushing it under. It's going to pop up at some point. And so I kind of feel like that with our emotions. We can push them down, push them down. I'm not feeling this. I'm not feeling this. But when we can just like really slowly bring that to the surface, we stop it popping out and just kind of, but actually just like bring it up and be like, what's here?
Yeah, gorgeous. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think that's so, you know, you talk about it as being like the meaning of life. I think that's like the ultimate, you know, I want to say self-care tool to have in your, you know, as a practice, as a check-in, as something that's so simple and you can just do for yourself to go beyond just, like you say, feeling the feels. And, you know, they often get either it's catch us out and blow up in our face or get projected onto other people but to really sit with them and notice them and shift through them. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you because you just said something to me as we were preparing for today that kind of rocked my world, because you said, Clare, that you don't love the phrase self-care that much, which is quite funny because I've known you now, I don't know, 3 years, I think it is. And I've always thought of you as self-care Clare. And so you mentioned that you prefer the phrase holding space for yourself. And I really want to explore the difference in that, how that feels to you, what you see as, why don't you love the phrase self-care so much?
It's a great question. And I think when I said that to you, Charlotte, I think it might have been the first time that I've actually articulated that. So, and when you reflected it back to me, I was like, I do feel like that. But it's what I have realized that is over the last 10 years of my life, through my 30s, there's been this real searching for answers to, I think the central question is, who am I? And that has been kind of spiritual, it's been an emotional, it's been a psychological questioning, and it has also become my work. I think it's my life's work, is asking that question. And over time it's had them, I've used the phrase self-care, I've used the term well-being, and now I talk about holding space. And I think for self-care just never quite was sacred enough, maybe for me, or spacious enough. It wasn't, it focused a lot on doing rather than being. And I think that is the difference for me between self-care is an action, whereas for me, holding space for myself is like you might, as I'm saying this, and you might do this as well, just holding my hands apart and feeling that orb there of energy, and just like, that space that I'm holding for myself. And the visual that I have so often is of pushing back the piles of laundry, the Lego on the floor, just the demands of life, just pushing that back and just creating that pocket of space on the floor for myself. And to me, that's what devotion is. And that's where I come to ask the questions like, who am I and how am I? In a way that self-care didn't lead me to that feeling. It's much more about a feeling than any action.
Oh, that feels so, like, I really agree with you on that. I feel like self-care is such a buzzword. It's been I have this visual flash in my head of it being like a band-aid, like we're just slapping on a band-aid. It's like, you know, we're just doing something to say we've done it, that we can tend to ourselves without going deep enough.
Yeah.
And actually doing something that's truly meaningful and sacred, like you said. And I see it, the common use of self-care being very much like that. Whereas to me, it's like it has to go deeper. It has to be in reverence to who we are and what we need. And who we are, I think about that for myself, like it changes all the time.
Yes.
Constantly. Yes. It's a constant evolution. And it's not like that for everybody, but you know, if you're somebody who has a curiosity for learning or living or being or feeling or noticing or, you know, for what's out there in the world and what's deep within as well, it is a constant evolution, and it's something that, you know, can be difficult to articulate. And so I love the idea of holding that space. You know, I see you with your arms out, and I'm doing the same now too, like holding like this bubble around me, my energy, my space, and keeping that intact and not letting life squash that. And that to me feels also quite rebellious as well in this world where, you know, we are both in the mother stage of life as well. And it's that time of doing and being lots of different things all at the same time. And so holding that space, you know, going against the good mother or the good woman as per this stage of life, where it's expected to be about giving of yourself to others, meeting others' needs, to come back and meet your own needs in this really powerful, soft, feminine way of allowing yourself to receive the space rather than doing, which is, you know, a completely different energy. Like that more masculine energy just feels really, ooh, yeah. I just feel like, I feel like there's a lot in that to explore and sit with.
I love that. And I think a couple of pieces there, Charlotte, as you're talking, is that I remember for a long time, especially in those kind of first years of teeny tiny bubbers, where someone would come in and say, I'll mind the baby, you go and do something nice. And it was like the most painful question. I'd be like, I don't know what I like to do, which sounds so sad, but I really didn't. I've been busier for the first 30 years of my life. And I had an hour and I didn't know what I liked to do. And it was kind of a list of of things people like to do, like go to the mall or go for a run or go for a massage. And I'd do it and I feel angry. I wouldn't feel nourished in any way. And so it's not that there's anything bad with those things, but it was the doing rather than what do I need and who am I and what does Clare like to do? And so I think kind of that evolution to where that is now, and like you said, that so we are cyclical beings, right? And so what we need on any day will change. And so some days a bubble bath is exactly what we need, but actually other days is completely different. And so I think that's kind of such a beautiful overlap in the things that we talk about, and where that holding space, just like actually listening to what do I need today, is so simple, but it's so powerful. And I think the simplicity of it can make it be like, oh, isn't there something else? Like, do I have to do something more? But I hope it also makes it feel possible. What do I need today?
Yeah. And it doesn't need to be difficult or big. It can be sometimes the absolute simplest things, like take a breath.
Yeah.
Like we just did before we pressed record, just breathed for a few minutes, and the difference in both of us. It was exactly what I needed in that moment, and it didn't take long. And it's as simple as breathing in and breathing out and noticing
Absolutely.
you're feeling in your body. Just little things. I just think, yeah, self-care can be, like you say, it's doing. It's always doing. What do you want to do? What can you do? And so I absolutely adore your your reframe of it, but the prompt that it gives us, this idea of holding space for ourselves, like it's like this door has just been opened to this whole other, it's like seeing things, through this, in this parallel dimension of, we're trying to achieve the same feeling, if you like, the same results, but just going about it in completely the opposite way.
Yeah, I love that.
It's I'm going to be thinking about that for a long time.
I love that. Thank you for the space to kind of explore it further. And I think as well, the thing is that we hold this space for ourselves, and then it's not the reason we do it, but it's the ripple of that. My experience is that I am a better mum, I am a better community member, I'm more creative, I am calmer. And so it's not I do this just to feel good for myself. It doesn't stop with the individual. It is so that ripples out to community, and that ripples out to the earth, that I am present as I'm walking on this earth. I am aware of how I am being. I think that's really important as well. Just that kind of fluctuating lens of self-community, earth.
Yeah, absolutely. And also your children as well, and we're both mums of girls, and to show them how, like, to role model how this can be, how we can do this for ourselves, how they can do it for themselves, and that ripple just continuing, not just in our lifetime and our generation, but down the line too. It's really, it's really, really powerful, and has a real capacity to create genuine change.
Yeah.
It's,
I love that. And you were a big one for me with that, Charlotte, with now when my period starts. So you shared stories of how you say to your kids, to your husband, my bleed's begun, I'm going to be sitting quietly because that's what I need. I need to tend to myself, and just for a couple of days I really need to go slow. And so now I do that, and I love that, just that really explicit naming of it, and just like, it's not good, it's not bad, it just is. For a couple of days I'll be going slow. And my kids are now like, they're running, they're all, my eldest is almost 11, so they're all still a little way from having their periods, but they're all like, they love all my stuff from when I did the training with you. They regularly pull it out, and the running joke in our family is that they'll go to the bathroom, come back and go, I got my period. So it has real ripples.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. And one day they're going to come and say that to you, and they'll have like an entirely different body language.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, for real?
Yeah. The first time they did it, I was like, oh my God, I've left it too late. I can't believe it. But now it's like, a daily occurrence. Yeah.
That's gorgeous, though, that they can be so open.
Yeah.
And that they are trying it on, like the experience on, like they're feeling into it and testing it. And each time they're doing it, it's becoming more comfortable, I guess.
Absolutely. And the joy of it and the fun, and that it's a family announcement. I love that.
Yeah.
It really does. It's like that, like you said, it's these ripples that when we make this stuff day to day and simple and just part of family life, then it's as natural as I'm making my lunch, like, so. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, I love this so much. Okay, so I want to ask you, so space holding is something that, you do in your day to day, like you say, for yourself, for other people, for, your one-to-one clients and your circle clients and, your family, everybody. It's your, that's your way. And, you've just created a super beautiful new card deck called Spacious that I really want to hear more about. I want to hear about, what it means to you. What was your journey? What's brought you to the point of wanting to create this card deck for yourself and obviously to share with other people? But what was it that you were looking for and couldn't find in any other deck? How is this an extension of who you are?
Yeah. There's so many great questions in there, Charlotte. I remember in high school, like, we had to do art, I think year 7 and 8, and I remember just being like, I'm not good at this, and so I stopped doing anything creative. And at the end of school, I kind of considered for a moment doing interior architecture. I kind of had some ideas about doing design stuff, and then someone said, but you've never done art at school. And I was like, oh yeah. So I did economics, which I never did at school. And
oh my gosh. Yeah.
But it just, it set this whole pathway. And then so when I had my first daughter, I was 29, and it was a huge cracking open. It was an emotional cracking open. It was a spiritual cracking open. And then it took a year for it to have a name, but it became postnatal depression. And it was kind of, I think, just getting back from that path back onto kind of something that feels much truer. But these cards are a love letter, really, from me. I just turned 40 last month, to me back then, turning 30 in the middle of like this dark time. I was trying to hold it together so much. I think that's why it took so long to be diagnosed, because I had really perfect hair and I looked really good. And I'd always wanted to be a mum. And so I just wanted to nail it. I wanted to be really good at it. But I was finding it really hard, but I did not know the words to say I'm finding this hard. And without kind of work or anything around me, I was left with these questions of, who am I? What do I like? But I couldn't even find words. It was just so uncomfortable to be in my body. So these cards are really a culmination of what I've learned in my 30s. And it was through my kids that I came back to reconnecting with my creativity, as kids do, that they make you colour and they make you dance, and you don't get a choice. They don't care if you're good at it or not. They want things drawn. And it's funny now, people who I meet or who I've known kind of in the last few years, like, you're not like, you didn't think you were creative. But I'm like, no, I was very straight, long black hair in a suit, that was who I was. So yeah, these cards feel completely audacious. To call myself a writer is kind of out there, but in the realm of possibility. But I did all the artwork. My idea at the beginning was I was going to do a bit of artwork, and my sister, who's a beautiful graphic designer, was going to help me put it all together. And then she had a baby, and so I didn't want to bother her, so I just did it all myself. And I'm so glad now I said this to her, that I did, because it has felt like having another baby. They were created over 9 months, and just to hold them and to be like, I can't believe I created these. And I think even that has been really a journey in kind of looking at how it's been for me around births, and around each of the 3 births I had postnatal depression. And so to be like, how would I like it to be after the birth of these cards? And just to really surround myself with support, and to tend to myself, and to hold that space for myself, knowing that has been a time that has been tricky. So yeah, and interestingly, the artworks kind of flowed, and then I had lots of ideas about the guidebook and the words, but I think I had so much pressure, because I think words are how I express myself, and it was all there. And then I sat down, and it like, they went from being scattered thoughts to actually holding the book within 5 days. It was just, I had to sit down and just do it. And now when I read it, I pull a card each morning, and I'm using them in circles or one-on-one sessions, or with the kids, and when I read it, I'm like, fuck, this is good. Like, it really, I'd heard people say it's old for me, but something has come through me. It's not, this isn't just mine alone, this is being co-created. And it feels like that I'm like, I like this. This is good. So it's really a series of love letters from me back to me. And the thing that I love as well is that, like we've been saying, it's very simple things. Each of the cards is very simple in its kind of invitation and where it nudges us to go. And also the pictures are just things that I saw in my daily walk, or and my kind of capturing of that. And so on the morning that I birthed them kind of into the world, I went for a walk on the beach, as I often do, and it was 40-year-old Clare talking to 30-year-old Clare. And there was this piece that I hadn't realised until then, that I was like, I've created this treasure hunt for you, and there, all the answers are in your daily life. You don't have to go and have a massage. You don't have to go on a retreat. You don't have to go far, my darling. Like, they're right there, and you will find them. And I get really emotional. I didn't set out to do that, but that it was all there. So yeah, that feels really beautiful. And that's my hope, is they keep giving me beautiful, helpful, loving nudges. And if they do that for someone else, then I'm honoured and delighted. And I just wanted their wisdom, or their love notes, to just be as accessible, that we can do it in lockdown. We can do it if we don't have support around us, if we don't have money on that day. That we can come back to that space for ourselves. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. What an absolutely beautiful story. I feel so moved. I feel really teary as well.
So I was just sitting here like,
no, it's, I feel how much this is medicine for yourself, really as a healing, loving process for you on so many levels. One, reclaiming your creativity and the label of, if you like, calling yourself an artist, and how audacious that feels for you, but also, the journey of motherhood being your unique journey, but at the same time being such a collective and shared journey. And I'm sure so many women can relate to what you've just said, and I certainly can. And coming into motherhood, with no manual, and it being such a cracking open, as rites of passages are, however it happens, it's a birth of ourselves as well. And it truly is, whether you believe in it, even that or not, it's you can't see the world the same way you did before, and you are changed, whether you acknowledge it or not. And that journey of finding who you are on the other side of that being such a long journey. I don't believe it happens to anybody fast. And I just adore this idea of you at now 40. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you, my love.
Looking back at your 30-year-old new mother self and all that has been in between, and now knowing that all the answers are within, and that just being an incredible message for other women to hear, whether you are not a mother, whether you never will be, whether you will be one day, you are, or your children are much older. I think as a human being, to hear that, you've got to this point where you can look back on the last decade and realize that it's all within, I just think is so empowering and so simple, and yet so not simple.
Yeah. And it's so ordinary, but that's just, yeah. And it's funny, like I have been working on these cards for 9 months and nearly 10 years, but kind of as they were coming out, as they were being birthed into the world, suddenly we were in lockdown, and I was like railing at the universe, like, I wanted to get out and share them with people. And then I was like, but maybe now more than ever, we need some spaciousness. It's like the simplicity. They are helping me each day. This morning when I drew the reflect card, which is just like, what's working, what's not working, what are you enjoying and what are you not? I was like, good question.
Simple but straight to it.
Yeah. So it's like just having that at the beginning of each day through the last month has been life-giving, has just like and it's not even to sit. Some days I sit down and journal, but often it's just holding the question, but it's like it's just enough to do that pushback of laundry, or even to like fold the laundry and think about what am I enjoying at the moment rather than what needs to get done next.
Yeah.
It's just weaving those into the day.
Yeah, I love that. So that sense of life still exists. We still carry on, but within that, we can be ruminating, feeling these questions in our bodies and in our hearts as well as our heads, and that is simply powerful. Yeah. So you've said as well that you mentioned before about how holding space for ourselves can look so different day to day. And then when you add on the layer or the lens of the menstrual cycle as well, how, you know, how our needs, how we're feeling and what our needs are change around that cycle too, whether we have a regular cycle or changing cycles or even no cycle. But, you know, love the idea of drawing a card for, you know, to support you through your cycle. So tell us, is that something that you do as a practice, or how do you see that working?
Yeah.
Let's have a play.
Yeah, let's have a play. Well, as we're doing that, I might just kind of draw out for us to talk about. But I think it is. I think before, I mean, this sounds a little ridiculous, but I feel like before I did the First Moon Circles training with you, Charlotte, that like I kind of thought about PMS, period, ovulation, that they were the kind of moments in a month, and then I thought the rest was fairly even. And so like then to think about, there's these 4 seasons, and even with them, within those there's change, was just so like eye-opening. And I love when you said, you know, like through the 4 kind of general stages, to think of them as the 4 seasons, and what do you like to do in those 4 seasons, and how does that support your body, and, you know, like so beautiful. And yeah, I think just to be noticing that, and to be pulling a card just to harness, to notice, and to move with what's happening at that time in my body, rather than working against it. I think again it's just bringing that wholeness that we started talking about. There's all the different parts, and none of them are wrong, and also none of them are right. Mm-hmm. It's like what's there is what's there for today. So how can I be here with that?
Beautiful.
So 4 cards.
What have you got?
What season do you want to start in?
Well, where are you? Which season do you identify as being in?
I would say I'm in autumn.
Let's start there.
So the card I've pulled is the noticing card.
Noticing. That's so gorgeous.
And I won't.
It's like a blue. It's like, it looks to me like it's like a puddle or a splash, but it's also a bit sculptural.
Yes. I kind of see it as a sculptural head. But
you know what it looks like to me? Almost slightly upside down, or not sure, but is, yes, it's half of our pelvis.
I love that. It's
like one side, yeah.
With that, like, that negative space, the hole in it. Yeah. So I love that. So it says, what I've written for noticing is gorgeous. Just for today, could you slow and quieten and notice? Notice what you desire as the day begins. Notice what makes you angry. Notice what feels spacious and joyful. What do you notice about the trees you pass, the phase of the moon, and how you feel at bedtime? What do you notice? So,
wow, that feels incredibly grounding. You know, coming back out of your head and into your body and your senses, which is such a powerful thing to do in your autumn, when you can be feeling all kinds of, obviously it's different for everybody, but, you know, some common experiences of the premenstrual phase, you know, can include the thoughts, the critical thoughts, the judgments, the criticisms, that tension. And so noticing that, or however you might be feeling, and also what's around you, using your felt senses, all of, you know, the things you can see, the trees and things you can feel, to get out of your head. That just feels, that would be, lovely, really lovely.
I love that. And as I read that, I feel a slowing as well. And like you said, there's often, I find myself wanting to be hurry up and get things done before my period starts. And so it's a really like, just slow down. Just slow down. Like, yeah. And like you said, that often if there's some PMS there or that real heady stuff, that raciness, and just, coming back into that. So, yeah.
Gorgeous. Noticing. Yeah. Okay, what's next?
To winter. And it's free.
So this is the winter card. So for your menstrual phase when you're bleeding, and it's very pink. There's a like a watercolor pink background with negative space, like unpainted clear space with in the shape of a circle in the background, and that feels just so and breathe. Yeah. What does that mean to you?
Well, let me read you what it says, because I think it's beautiful. It says, my friend Mitley once said, it isn't possible to pause time, but it is possible to slow and breathe, which is as close as we can get to stopping time. Darling heart, when you pull this card, take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. What do you notice when you slow and breathe in and out? And how does this feel in your body?
Oh, I feel like real softening. Yeah. And that slowness, but that permission and that space, to do that and to trust that all is well.
Yeah.
And that it's okay to have this moment, even if it's just a moment.
Yeah.
And what a perfect time of the cycle to do that as well. It's exactly what, we can be weaving into our experience of that menstrual phase, or the new moon phase without having a cycle.
Yeah.
It's not about switching off, doing absolutely nothing, for that whole time, but just those teeny tiny moments of slowing and breathing.
Yeah.
Delicious. So nourishing.
Yeah. And as well, I think of like often, well, not often, but sometimes the pain that can come with a period with bleeding. And to me, that's often more in my head than when I come into my body and actually can be with that. The sensation of that is far more possible than what my head would tell me it is. So to just like be with the sensation in my body. I feel like I've come to love my bleed so much the last couple of years. Just like when I can slow, then it's not, I used to think of it as so inconvenient, just like, can we just get this over with? But now I just love the slow and the release and the like, the permission of that. So yeah.
Yeah. And I find that the pain of the cramps, of wherever it's felt, for me, it's much worse if I just try to push on and override and just, the slowing
Totally
eases the muscles. It gives them, I keep using the word space, but it's true. If you give your muscles the space to do their work, they need to squeeze gently to release the blood and the wound lining. And if we can just let them do that instead of trying to stop them.
Yeah.
For me, that I notice less pain when I'm slower. Yeah. And breathing can help move through that pain of it too.
Yeah.
Comfort.
And I love what you said to me, Charlotte, in the training about how we begin our cycle in those days of the bleed, like it's kind of the rite of passage for that next month. I think of that so often. And so when we can begin with those breaths, with that slowing, and then I kind of create the space for the next seasons to be in their whole expression as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a magical card to pull for For your bleed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So let's see. As we come into spring, we come into the beginning.
It's like, did you pick these earlier?
You can't make this shit up. I tell
That's
you.
right. So if I can see what it is. So beginnings. Yeah. So beginnings, of course. And I see it as a watercolor blue. It looks like a pool. It looks like a pond to me. It's got like, some white space in the middle. It's got some, beautiful watercolor around the sort of edge, and then some dots. I see some dot shapes on one side and some lines, which looks like grass. And then there's a couple of curvy lines, which almost looks like a bridge over a little pond to me. I see a pond. Beginnings, though. That's gorgeous. Yeah.
It is. And this is it's a really special card because I've half drawn it and then I finished it off. And to me, it's like a little Bubba kind of sitting here in the womb. I finished it the morning before my sister gave birth to her little boy, Alfie, earlier this year. And we kind of wasn't sure when this baby will be arriving, and just to finish that, and then he came, and he's a pretty special baby. So yeah, I love that card. Wow. And so it says, sometimes what feels like an ending is also a beginning, which can bring a lot of mixed emotions with it. And I wonder how you can make space for that, to notice that. As night ends, the new day begins. And you may feel sadness for the ending and excitement and trepidation for the newness. And sometimes just noticing and naming that helps. Slow down, make space for all these emotions. Perhaps create a ritual or an intention for this new chapter. My love, what is beginning? How would you like to welcome in this new time?
Perfection.
I love that. Especially it jumps out to me, that ritual and intention, and also just that mix of emotions which is there. It's not just beginning equals good, that there's so much there.
Yeah, I really love the how you said it's about endings and beginnings, and how, like you say, it's complex. There's a lot of layers within that, and how we end and begin, it plays out in the cycle, out, how, like you said before, how we begin that, our cycle sees us through our experience of the whole of the rest of it. And just noticing, how you feel about your inner spring when your bleed ends as well, taking it back to the cycle. It can be a real point of, the beginning of that rising energy and that transition out of stillness and slowness as much as has been possible into more of a action without diving straight into doing. Taking that as a gentle transition phase. I really see that spoken to in this card, and it's that reminder to be present with how it feels to make that shift from like the slow half of your cycle into the higher energy, maybe faster paced, maybe fuller or more creative, the energy is being pulled outwards.
So true. I agree. I hear that too. And that I have that feeling now sometimes at the end of my bleed of like, oh, is it over? Like I've been enjoying this. I'm kind of almost, imagine coming out of the red tent into, and it's back to daily life again. So I love that you're hearing that kind of noticing that change in energy, and what do I want this beginning to be about, and how do I want to mark that for myself? So
with ritual and intention, and how can you take that through your cycle too?
So let's have a look what summer is. Summer is gather.
Gather. Okay, I'd love to know what you see here. I see a red, pinky red, is how it's coming across. It's in a circular shape, but it's nuanced, it's patterned and textured. It's got like some darker purpley, what it looks like, and then reddy and pink layers, and I see, reminds me of a beetroot, but it also reminds me of a rose opening. It also reminds me of a blood splatter.
Yeah.
But it also, I can see, and this is, looking over the camera to you, it looks like within the red splosh, I can see like a mandala shape, and it looks like there's petals with each protrusion outwards, and I can imagine that being like a circle of women gathered, where there's a cushion or a space for each person to sit in that beautiful space for gather being all about being together, and the perfect, like the epitome, if you will, of that what your middle of your cycle invites you, like urges you to do, to be more outward and to connect. Absolutely. How about you?
I think you've described it so beautifully. I drew that kind of the black line in the middle of the gather. I had a couple of days last December. I went up to my mum and dad's place, which is a little way up the coast, and I had a couple of days to myself there, and there was a placemat. It was like a woven placemat, and I just loved the shape of it, and I drew it, and so that's what it is. And then I added the kind of watercolor over the top, but it was exactly as you said. I love the circles within circles, and they're interlinked, and so it's that very everydayness. It's the middle of a placemat, but it just is so beautifully rich to look at.
I love that it's a placemat from your parents. That's just, again, the simplicity and the noticing of what is in your everyday, and then the richness and the message and the wisdom that you can interpret from that, and how somebody else might see it would be completely different, but that's what you've taken from it.
Totally. Yes. And so I'll read you this one. It says, "My love, when you pull this card, it is a loving nudge to gather with others. It reminds you that you are cared for and that you belong. It reminds you of the joy and energy of being in community, of being together. It invites you to notice what you are part of if you are feeling alone. What are you part of? Where do you belong? How would you like to come together with others?"
That's divine. Yeah. It's so important, even, right now, I feel like, with the loneliness that lockdown can bring, is the, reminding us of the importance of being together and connected, and to remember that we belong to something greater, and that we can still connect.
Absolutely. And like you said, just the epitome, that kind of summer feasting, that it feels so ancestral. That one, just that's what we do when you feel good and you have energy. Use that, like let your cup kind of spill over, and use that energy to be with others. Knowing that you're about to come into a time when you're probably like, and I'm going to go just away for a while.
Yeah. And I just had a thought, as a space holder, that being like a beautiful time of being able to hold space for other people, whether in the circle or, your family, yourself, clients, whatever that looks like to you. But even when you don't have that energy and that desire to be with other people, to still know that you can be, you can be held by the people who are in that energy. You can soften, and you're still welcome. And you can be supported by the energy that other people have, even if you're not feeling sociable or presentable. It's such a beautiful reminder.
I love that. I love that. I really hear again the wholeness in that, and that, like, remembering that when you're in deep winter, someone else is there ready to hold you. Like, what a beautiful just reminder to weave in.
Oh, Thank you, Claire. I
Oh, thank
absolutely
you, Charlotte.
adore your cards. Your story is really inspiring, and I can see how much this, this is you. This is an extension of you. It's your soul in these cards, and I'm so excited to receive mine. They're currently on pre-sale, aren't they?
They are until the 8th of August. They're on pre-sale, and then I'm going to order them and ship them out, and then they'll be around, they'll be for sale, and kind of still trying to work that out, but
Yeah,
be available at various times. So yeah,
beautiful.
just so excited just to see them go like out across Australia and the world, and I just can't wait for people to be playing with them and be like you said, to say that's half a pelvis. And that question led to me to this thing, and I have this sense that there's community building around this, that it gives us this beautiful way of gathering really simply but really meaningfully, and so I'm it's kind of like Christmas when you've bought all the presents and you're like, just open them already. So that is my kind of feeling.
So excited. So excited to see them go out, and I can't wait to share them with myself as much as with other people. So thank you for creating them, bringing them to us, and for sharing them with us today. It's been so lovely to chat.
Delicious. It's been like a cup of tea for the soul to be here. Thank you for your beautiful space holding and questions, and just the deliciousness of this time together.
Thank you, my love. Okay, everybody, if you would like to connect with Clare, go and find her over on her Instagram at Clare Foale, and I'll put the link to that in the show notes. Clare shares just such beautiful wisdom as you have experienced today, and she is very much a truth teller, I think, but also just always providing that incredible invitation to connect outwards as well as inwards. And I get so much out of what you share, so thank you. I recommend everyone going and checking Clare out. And if you would like to find or purchase her Spacious card deck, I'll put the link to that too. You can find that through her Instagram bio, but I'll drop the link as well straight to that, so you can read a bit more about how she has created them and what you receive when you purchase. So thank you so much. I just wanted to end with a couple of questions that I have, and want to my reason for asking these of you and of every other guest that I'm going to have on this podcast is to draw comparisons, really, I guess, or just highlight how we all experience our own unique bodies and our cycles, and differently, but also it's a shared journey as well. And so thank you. I'm going to ask you, so what is your favorite season or phase of your cycle, Clare?
I'm going to choose a favorite child, Charlotte. At the moment, what's coming is just like my bleed, just that release and that quietness. And I think as I have learned how to navigate the kind of the challenge, the like what's illuminated in the lean up and around my bleed, and then I don't feel scared of that anymore, or kind of so I'm going to say my winter.
Love that so much. I really feel that. Thank you. And how about then your least favorite or your most challenging?
I think, and you kind of alluded to it before, that move from winter into spring, which through the year as well, it's like both exciting to feel that rush of energy, but I can also find that quite overwhelming. Suddenly all the ideas are there and I want to do it all. And that can be like, oh God, like I can get really overwhelmed in that transition. So that's probably the moment. It's the transition rather than the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really feel that in myself too. And that would make sense, coming from your favorite stage of that slowness and that. Yeah, I hear quite a few women actually saying this. It's a real challenge. Yeah. And so what's one thing that connecting with your body and cycle has taught you?
One thing. I think it's just like the wisdom, that like inbuilt wisdom. It sounds like such a cliche that it's all within us, but it's just like, actually it is. Actually, if I can just notice, like the whole year is within me, or the seasons are within me, and if I just do what is needed at any moment, excuse me, then everything gets done. Like it might not be on the moment that I think it needs to, but energy will come, rest will come, letting go will come, new ideas will come. So I think just that, like, complete, magnificent wisdom is what I've learned.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much, Clare. Thank you,
Charlotte. It has been just a pure delight to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening in. If you're loving this podcast and you'd love to help me spread the wisdom shared, please leave a review or rating, or share this with somebody who you think would love to listen in. I'm really passionate about creating ripples of change and getting this information to more women, girls, and people with a cycle so that they can reclaim their cyclic natures too. And if you'd love to dive in deeper with learning more about how to connect with your cycle and rites of passages, come and join our free Wild Flow Circle community, or choose a course and learn with me on my online learning hub. All the links are in the show notes. And until next time, be well and go with the flow of your cyclic nature.